Hi Guava Bees, and welcome to another episode of the Dear Guava Bean podcast. Remember, submit your questions in the Guava box or on the website, and we could be answering yours in the next episode. I'm Francesca, and with me is Claire.
Hello.
And today's question is, Dear Guava Bean, how do I become an online coach? I'm determined to get my business up and running as a transformation coach, but I have no idea where to start and how to get my first paid clients. I feel like I've been very concentrated and clear on the why and the what, and now I'm stuck on the how. At the minute, it's just a lovely vision in my head. Any advice would be greatly appreciated. I love this one, Claire, because I feel like a lot of the time when people are starting their new businesses, it's more focused on, okay, right, I want to get new clients. And then they kind of skip over the why and the what and all that. So I actually love that this person has really thought about their, the reason why they're doing it. And now it's just, trying to get stuck into some practical things that they can do. I really love this idea.
Yeah, me too. I love this question also. The online coach niche is a really interesting one. I know so many people, especially in the States, who are getting into this line of work. And so, yeah, this is definitely an interesting one to talk about. I can't wait.
Me neither. I feel like I see a lot of this recently where, people are wanting to turn their skills into kind of a coaching business. And I love this because I feel like maybe it's because a lot of people are now looking to maybe start their own businesses, or they want to further their skills, or I feel like a lot of that seems to come out of the way the world is changing into like a more or sort of more geared towards people starting their own businesses. That's why I see a lot of sort of coaches and things. Obviously this is a transformation coach, so that could be a lot of different things. So I'm really excited for this person and really happy to hear that they're on the right path. It's a very exciting thing because as I said, you get so many different coaches and so many different walks of life. It's very interesting to think of this kind of job as a business, because I do think the how is probably the most difficult bit. I mean, would you say that, Claire? Because I think a lot of people struggle on what to do. Once they know what they want to do, like, where do they go from here?
Yeah, I think the how is almost always the hardest part. And fortunately, I work with a few online coaches. Like, I do online ads for some really good coaches who have businesses. For example, one of my clients has over 2,000 members in her coaching program. And so I've been able to help her consistently book out her services and fill up her coaching programs. And so I know a little bit about the how, which is cool. I'm interested to talk about that, but it is true that the behind the scenes, how do I actually make it work, is always the hardest information to find.
I think so too. And I think sometimes that's just because it requires a leap of faith. We can all have that idea of the dream job and, what we want to do, but then to actually do it takes a lot of courage. And I think the trouble is people are often scared that they're going to get it wrong and waste a lot of time. I think that applies not only to coaches, but freelancers in general as well. But, I think for coaches, there are so many. The good thing is about being a coach is there are several different avenues you can take to build up your business. And I don't know if you found that when you've worked with coaches, Claire, but there tends to be like this mix of sort of a passive and an active way of finding clients and working with people and building up an income. And often I see that they run, coaches tend to run like their own online communities and have like a subscription-based model, and then also have like the one-to-one kind of coaching as well.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. There's a few ways to make it work. There aren't like a lot of ways. There's just a few main ways that are tried and tested, and everybody knows those work, so they do them. But you're right about the community being one of those, and then also the like one-to-one packages are, something that almost every coach does. But yeah, some coaches really build their own communities. Like I know a life coach who has created her own Facebook group, And so she helps the members inside that group, and then every now and then she gets clients from it. And so she's kind of created her own little client pool where, she gives them a lot of great free content, and in exchange, they get the value from it and they end up working with her. And so that's one way to get clients. Another way is, like, a lot of my clients, the people that I work with, they use paid advertising. That's another strategy that always works pretty well if you know how to do it. And then, of course, networking, like in-person networking or even online networking. But if you can go to business events where there's other coaches and other business owners, you can always meet some new people and, like, come away with a whole list of new connections.
Yeah, I can imagine that there's kind of a difference between, people who have been up and running for quite some time and maybe someone who is quite new to coaching. So how someone would approach that and approach those different methods of building up their business, I guess, would vary on, whether they're a beginner or whether they've been doing it a while. I don't work with coaches personally, but I have spoken to a couple of coaches myself, just as people I know in different industries. And I know that a lot of people say the best way to start out is actually working maybe one-on-one with people they might know. So people they may have worked with, it could be friends, but people that would actually find this kind of coaching helpful, just to get a bit of feedback in the beginning and build up those testimonials, is often a great place to start, so I've heard. Would you agree with that, Claire, having worked with coaches, that would be quite helpful?
Yeah, that is super helpful. A lot of coaches, once they get to a certain level, they create these coaching packages, like online courses to teach other coaches how to be a coach. And that's one way to learn. But a lot of these packages include that type of coaching that you talked about, like working with your friends. It's part of the program for you to get some coaching experience by doing one-on-one coaching with your friends or with your family, or just anyone. Sometimes the coaching programs connect you with clients,
Yeah.
and you coach them for free. But I also know, like, I had a friend who became a life coach, and I know that she got a lot of experience in the beginning by doing free coaching for her friends. Like, she invited all of us to do a free coaching session, and would give her a testimonial. And so that's one way to get started and to get your first few testimonials and a little bit of experience. I think that's a great way to get started. How did you find the coaches that you said you found?
So usually through online communities, Facebook groups, for example, and just separate groups as well with their own platforms. So it would be like, for example, one of my coaches that I know, it offers like a membership. So it's like a monthly membership, and they will teach you the skills that you need to know. And like you just mentioned, Claire, one of the best ways that I've heard of is these kinds of memberships where they actually match coaches with clients. So it's almost like practice. There's no money exchange, like they're not paid clients in the beginning, but they are coaching for feedback. So it's understood that on both parts, like the coach offers, or the practicing coach offers the coaching and the client offers feedback and a testimonial that coach can then use on their own website, on social media and stuff like that. And I feel like that is a great way. Like, if you're willing to pay like a monthly membership to someone you trust and a network of coaches, and someone who's actually running this membership themselves, and that you trust them, I think that is a great way of matching with people. Some people, they might not want to ask their friends, or their friends might not be the people that are suitable for the type of coaching they're offering. So when that's the case, I find that kind of thing is really helpful. And it feels less scary because you're not asking someone to sign a contract, you're not asking them to part with their money, but it gives you that experience to then feel more confident and then start charging. That would be my opinion. I think it's like quite an easy way into it. Not easy as in like it's easy to do, but I think it feels less scary, I think.
Yes, I love that. Do you mind me asking how much the monthly membership is?
Yes, $29 a month, the one I'm talking about.
Wow, that's great.
So, yeah, and obviously I know it varies depending on what people offer. But, I think that if you're looking to build a business with a good income and, if you're a coach, then obviously you're going to want to charge what you're worth. Then I think investing in that type of membership can be so worth it. Like that's going to pay for itself. In my opinion, that's going to pay for itself if you are looking for that kind of hands-on experience. It's a lot easier to have that kind of service than potentially maybe going on somewhere like LinkedIn and like cold finding clients, which I'm not saying doesn't work, but it's a lot scarier and can be a lot harder to convince people that, what's the word? Like if you've not got much of much experience and your business hasn't been running very long, it can be quite hard to convince someone to work with you, I think. But if you've got that kind of membership, then, they already have that understanding that you're learning and that they can offer you good feedback. And it's all good feedback, any kind of criticism that someone might have it's good to take on board and will actually help you build your business before you've finalized all your services and packages and things. I think it can really make you think when you have a service available like that.
Yes, feedback is so important. And especially in those early stages when you're just getting started and you're making a lot of mistakes, it is so valuable to have people around you who can point you in the right direction and can give you answers and guidance. And especially if you're stuck on the how of trying to make something work, it can take ages to figure that out on your own. Like you could spend weeks or months in that research mode, just trying to
Right.
figure things out, trying to test out different things. And when you think about the time and the money that you can save by investing in some type of community where you get access to other coaches and access to those resources and support, I think that is what I would do. Just because, if you know that saying, you have to spend money to make money. In some
Absolutely.
ways, it is really true. It's not all jobs are necessary. There's a lot of jobs you can do. You can figure that out. But if you're talking about making a business, that is a really difficult thing. And so having as much support and answers as possible is going to make the process a lot easier. So, yes, I think that's great advice. I would definitely invest in a community or an online course or a book. And I'm sure there's got to be books out there on like how to start a coaching business and how to get coaching clients. There's got to be tons of YouTube videos. And so there's plenty of information out there. Either you are going to do it, the DIY method where you do it all yourself and you don't spend any money, or you're going to invest in some type of program or community and follow a process that other people have tried and tested and they know that it works.
Yeah, I agree. I think often people get caught up in the idea that spending money on and investing in something like a membership or a community or something, getting special access to that information, they're going to say, well, I could just do the research and find it myself, like you just mentioned. But you have to think about what your time is worth. So think about if it would actually be worth cutting out all of that painstaking research and trying to figure out what information is right and wrong and what's going to work and what isn't. You can cut that out by just paying a little bit a month for a trusted resource that people use and that everything is laid out there for you. Like someone has done the work for you. It's their job to give you this information. And so I always love these monthly kind of membership models because not only is it just like some information, but it's added to. So there's always a lot of value in these. So you get to, as we've already mentioned, you might get matched with clients that you can practice on, but you also get to speak to other beginners in your area as well. So in your industry, sorry. So you can discuss the same problems that you might have as someone else, and you can bounce ideas off each other, and it's a safe space to do that. I love these kinds of private Facebook groups, for example, or forums. And often with these, you get like maybe a video series to try and teach you how to do something. You get resources you can download. There's so many options out there, and I know that there will be for coaches, most definitely, because the coach kind of industry is so vast. There's so many different kinds of coaches that there will be that kind of membership model out there. It's becoming increasingly popular, and for good reason, I think. So, I used to be very much of the opinion that I don't want to spend money. When I first started out, I'm like, I'm not making a lot of money in the beginning. I don't want to spend a lot of money on something that I could just do myself. And then you spend hours and hours trying to figure it out, and it gets really frustrating. And then you can kind of lose a bit of heart, you start losing steam and second guessing yourself. But if you've got somebody who you trust in the industry that can give you that information, I think it's well worth the investment.
Yes, I also agree. I think anytime you invest in yourself, it's an investment in your future. It's an investment in your career. That's how I see it. Whenever I buy a book or an online course, I see it as an investment in my career. And I know that this investment will pay off in the future. So yeah, I encourage people to make that decision if it feels right for them. But I can also share how my clients find their clients.
Please do.
The clients that I know that are online coaches. So if you wanted to use paid ads, or even if you don't want to use paid ads, this strategy still works. And it's similar to what we teach in the phishing method, where you create a lead magnet, or what we call your client bait, and you put this out there for free, and then the clients find the client bait, they get hooked on it, and it leads them into booking a call with you and learning about your services that way. And so the phishing method is very similar to what a lot of my clients use when they run their paid ads. So what they use is a webinar, an online webinar. Sometimes they call it a free masterclass or a free training or a free workshop. It doesn't matter what it is. It's a free 1 hour, usually it's 1 hour video training that people have to sign up to. So it's on a landing page, and you go to this landing page, you have to leave your email address and your name, and then you register for the webinar and you get to watch the webinar. Sometimes you can watch it immediately. Sometimes you have to wait until the next available time. But basically on this webinar, the coach will teach something. So for example, one of my clients, she was a coach for corporate moms who are working busy jobs. And she wanted to help them overcome burnout in their personal life and in their work life. And so she had a webinar that taught this type of thing. I think it was 5 strategies or 6 tips or whatever. You can make a simple webinar with like 5 strategies to overcome working mom burnout. And then you put this video out there as a free lead magnet. And then anybody who is interested in that type of thing, if you run ads, you're going to run ads straight to your webinar. And then people will sign up, they will watch it. And then at the end of the video, after you've given them so much value, you invite them to book a free call with you. And then there's a link that they can click. It takes them to your calendar. It uses one of these automatic pages like Calendly or acuityscheduling.com. You can use either of those, and people book their call if they're interested. And then it's kind of like a consultation call. You get on the phone with them. They ask you all their questions, you answer, you make them feel comfortable about the service and what it includes. And if it feels right for both people, then you take their purchase on the call and you move forward. That's how they find their clients. It's a strategy that has worked for years. It works for so many people, but it's not easy because you do need to create that webinar. You need to drive people to it. And so this is a more advanced strategy, I guess. If you were just getting started, I would probably get an online course, work with some clients for free, build up some testimonials, and then go into some Facebook groups and start, networking that way to get clients. But if you're ready, if you're ready to start running Facebook ads or doing severe social media, then this type of lead magnet strategy is one thing that I know works for a lot of online coaches.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I have to say that someone who repeatedly signs up for webinars, they work. They really work. I think it's a really personable way and a really easy way to get to know somebody like a coach. If you're running a coaching business, it feels like you're getting to know them. And I think that's why they're so effective, because you feel like, they're talking to you, they answer your questions and they tell you what you need to know. And yeah, I mean, the fishing method would definitely work, wouldn't it, in this scenario? I think you're right. I think it's maybe something that someone might do once they've had a few, clients, whether that's friends or people that have spoken to in like a membership, once they've got a few of those under their belt. But I think 100% it's definitely worth the invested time, because it's something that then once you've put that work in place, once you've built up the webinar, you've started to build up a social media presence and all this, it just continues to work for you, doesn't it?
Yes, once you create those assets, they're always available. And you don't need to have a lot of them. You can just create one really great thing that is packed with value and then just give it away for free to as many people as possible. Seth Godin talks a lot about this type of marketing where you just create something that's super outstanding and it's so good that people will want to share it. But obviously, it's not that easy to do that. You do have to be very specific. You have to be clear on the why and the what and the who of, your products and services. But if you create a lead magnet, it doesn't even have to be a webinar. It can be a PDF download, or it can be like an email challenge, like a 5-day email challenge.
Mm-hmm.
Or it could even just be a really fun quiz or assessment. You can do anything as a lead magnet, but basically you need to create something that shows people who you are, that shows people the who, the why, the what, and all of that stuff. It answers all of their questions and it gives them value in a way that makes them want to move forward with you. If you can do that, then you can start to get clients. But it all starts with you giving value first. I think that's really important because people hire people that they trust or people that have good referrals or good reviews and good results. And so in order to do that, you just need to really pack value into your coaching services.
I think some people are scared to do that sometimes because, I don't know, it can feel quite vulnerable, can't it? Almost, showing yourself, showing your personality and, the reason why you're doing it. But I think it's important to do that, especially with coaching, because there are probably thousands of coaches out there. And, without sounding too blunt, people don't necessarily know who you are and they don't care unless you give them a reason to care. And so I think that's why, like we've already said, the why, the who, the what is so important. I would say that's more important than just what you do, but like why you're doing it. Why are you in this industry? Why are you coaching people? And I think that if you can show that, then, and especially, as we've already said, you can kind of figure out the who if you begin to work with maybe friends or people in a group or something like that, and it all will fall into place and it will help you build like a more solid foundation for your business. And I'm really excited for the person who asked this question because they are so nearly there. I think it's great that they already know why and what they're doing. And yeah, I just think that how is now maybe just branching out and asking for feedback in exchange for the types of services that they will potentially then want to offer.
I agree. Marie Forleo has a really good quote that I think of sometimes when I get really stuck and I don't know how to move forward on my vision. She has a quote that says, "Clarity comes from engagement, not thought." And basically, how I interpret that is that you will find clarity through taking action, not by thinking about it. In this question, he or she mentions that they've been very concentrated and it's just a lovely vision in their head. And so right now, everything is inside their head. They've probably spent a lot of time thinking things through and maybe even overthinking. And they need to move out of that thinking and into the action stage. And that is where you'll find the answers. That's where the how becomes clear. So if you ever feel stuck or if you don't know how to move forward, just start doing something. Pick one thing, even if you don't know what that thing is, even if that thing is just going on YouTube and finding a video to answer whatever question you have. If you start taking action, you will find the answers that you need, but you're not going to find the answers that you need by just sitting down and thinking about it over and over. Some people think that they can find the answers just by asking themselves the right questions and thinking things through and mapping it out perfectly. But that's never been the case for me. Like sometimes it helps me to do that, but often when I'm stuck on the how and I can't move forward, the answer is just to do something, just to take action. And in that action, you will find the next step and then the next step and then the next step. But you are not going to figure it out until you start moving forward.
Right. I think that's probably such a valuable piece of advice. And I just want to add to that because I agree. I think often when we see people like maybe other coaches that you look up to, for example, and you think, I want a business like that. But all you see is what appears to be this really successful business, but it doesn't show you their journey of getting there. And these people who you maybe look up to and you look at as really successful, they had to figure stuff out for themselves as well. No one gets gifted this really successful business and know exactly what to do. People are constantly learning. We all learn. It's part of life, and it's okay to make mistakes because that teaches us something, even if it's a bit uncomfortable. And I think you're right in terms of being actionable. You need to just do something. And often as well, I think if you overthink things, I'm a chronic overthinker. I overthink a lot of things. But I feel like you're only seeing the problem from your perspective. If you can at least share it with somebody, like, you do something that then puts you out there, someone's going to help you see that from a different perspective, and usually you learn something new. So yeah, you're right. That is 100% valuable and so important, especially in your beginning stages.
Okay, I feel like we've covered this one.
Me too. That was a good one. Yeah, I like that. We hope you enjoyed listening to the Dear Guava Bean podcast. Don't forget to subscribe and follow Guava Bean on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter for updates and new episodes. As always, our goal is to empower you with the information, inspiration, and direction you need to achieve financial freedom through online work. For more content like this, join us in the Guava Bean Freelancer Toolbox. Just go to guavabean.com to start your free trial now. Thanks for listening and supporting the podcast. See you in the next episode.